The meeting will come to order. Welcome to our September 24th regular board meeting. A special thank you to each and every one of you who are in attendance this afternoon. It's great to have such a large crowd here tonight. We always enjoy seeing your faces. I would like to share with our audience that our board just left executive session to discuss personnel matters, homeschooling applications, and legal matters, including case number 2022-CP-23-01907 and the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. No decisions were made and no votes were taken. Our first agenda item is the welcome, the prayer, and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity to gather together at this very important time during our school year. It is now, as fall is upon us, and we are feeling the exuberance a new school year brings, that we think about others. We as a board and as a community are so proud of our students and teachers as they come together to raise money and awareness for charitable causes. This is, after all, Spirit Week, a time when our wonderful high schools compete to show how much they care for those in need and perhaps less fortunate than us. Amen.
Thank you so much, Ms. Middleton. Ms. Goodwin Caldwell, would you like to introduce our guest for the pledge tonight?
Yes, I would. Tonight we welcome Salvador Guerin Trinidad to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salvador is a 5th grade student at Welcome Elementary School, where his favorite subject is math. His favorite foods are pizza and tacos, and his favorite color is green. Salvador enjoys soccer, karate, Sonic the Hedgehog, and playing with his friends. Salvador's principal describes him as a great leader with a bright future ahead of him. His future goals include graduating from high school and, get this, becoming a movie star in the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Salvador is grateful to his mom, dad, sister, and brothers for all of their love and support. Salvador is accompanied tonight by, I saw his mom. Who else is here with him? Mom, dad, and sister. Y'all wave. Mom, dad, and sister wave. And his principal, Mr. Wallace Cobbs. Salvador, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and America, and the republic I want to stand, one nation, under God, and indivisible, and nations for all.
Thank you. And you may be seated.
Here, get a picture of it.
Thank you again, Salvador, for leading us in the pledge. We really appreciate that. And Salvador, thank you for being a difference maker at Welcome Elementary.
Hold on, Linda's got this cake here.
Future board member.
That's one of our future board members right there.
There you go, good job.
At this time, we have some special guests in the audience, and I'd like to ask Ms. LaVentus Wells if she would like to share with us. She's our greeter to let us know who we have with us tonight.
Madam Chair, I appreciate this. We have a special recognition of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Social Action Committee. They've come to observe. We've got AKA, we've got everybody, we've got our future teachers that are going to come back to our district and teach here that are in high school now, and we're going to hear from one of the students. So proud of all of you who are here for whatever reason. Thank you for coming to our school board. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And a special welcome to everyone who's here tonight. Our second matter, well, before we go on to our first matter of business, I would like to just say to Mrs. Bush, if you can't see the flowers, we have a beautiful autumn cup here with a beautiful autumn display. Ms. Bush is always so kind to just brighten up the boardroom. And Ms. Bush, thank you for that. You have a huge heart. And on behalf of the board, I would like to say something to you tonight. I know that you're preparing for a surgery on Thursday, and we just want you to know that you will be in our thoughts and prayers, and we wish you a very successful surgery and a speedy recovery. You will be missed while you're away. Our second matter of business is adoption of the consent calendar. The consent calendar includes items 2.01 through 2.04. We have a recommended motion from administration. Do I have a maker of a motion?
Motion to accept as presented.
Second.
And we have a motion from Ms. Leventis Wells. We have a second from Mrs. Mosley. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries. We have 17 speakers tonight. So what I'm going to ask the speakers to do, each of you have been given a number to support us with time. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and get lined up in the order of your number. If you're not already, maybe you're already ahead of me. Okay, great. All right, and due to the number of speakers tonight, we have 17 speakers. We usually allow 3 minutes, but due to the nature of the timing and so many guests, we're going to make that 2 minutes tonight. So beginning with our first speaker, before he comes up, is James Bello. But before he speaks, I'm going to ask Ms. Mosley, our vice chair, if she will read to everyone the requirements for speaking.
Thank you, Dr. Stiles. As each speaker's name is called, he or she should proceed to the podium at the end of the board's dais where there is a microphone and light system. Each speaker has up to 2 minutes to speak to the board. The light system will be green for the first minute and will turn yellow when 1 minute remains on the speaker's allotted time. In keeping with board policy KCA, abusive language or personal attacks aimed at students or staff members will not be permitted. All speakers are expected to behave in an orderly and respectful manner. The board will not engage in discussion with the speaker or respond to comments, and the superintendent will designate a member of the staff to respond to each speaker in an appropriate and timely manner.
Thank you. James, you may begin.
How you doing, guys? I'm James Bello. I'm the father of 2 autistic children. My daughter will be entering the school system starting next semester. In lieu of recent events, it's come very clear that the school board needs to address and start to make appropriate changes with RBTs being allowed in the school system. For one, insurance covers RBTs. There's no reason not to allow them in if it means the safety of our children and the betterment of their education. They have a mandatory rule that they have to be within 1.5 feet of the child purposely so that if the child does elope, that they can get them in time and safely before something happens again. What happened with Leo was a complete tragedy, but nonetheless it was neglect. There was no accident in that case. He never should have made it out of that building under the conditions that were handed to him by the school board. If we don't have change, I'm afraid of how many more children are going to have to perish before something is actually done and we can finally protect our children and get them the help they need and the education they deserve so that they can remain growing and learning and be productive as they grow up to be self-sufficient so that they can live a good life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bello. Our second speaker is Melissa Phillips.
Okay. Thank you. I'm reading this letter on behalf of my son, Noah Phillips. He is here tonight, but he was too nervous to speak. My name is Noah Phillips. I'm a student at Berea Middle School in 6th grade. I had a lot of anxiety before middle school, and I thought I would be okay, but I was not okay, and I was always wondering if someone had a weapon. My mom set a meeting up with my teachers and the 6th grade administrator. We all talked, and I was ready to go back to school. Mrs. Stokes, had a plan in place, and I seemed that I felt like I would be safe, and I was ready to go back. On Monday, my mom and I were leaving for school, and the phone rang, and it was a call from Berea Middle School that they had a threat. After that, I was scared to be back. I miss going to school and seeing my friends, and I learn better in person than on a computer. I'm just too scared. What can you do to make me feel safe at school again? Thanks, Noah. I'm also, I work for Greenville County Schools, and this is just my opinion, but instead of building a new school, what can we do to ensure the safety of the schools that we already have? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Our next speaker is Amanda Myers.
My daughter is a smart, creative, articulate, and autistic 8-year-old. She was joyful and loved learning, but just weeks into kindergarten, she started having signs of anxiety. By first grade, her anxiety had worsened to the point where it solidified my decision to keep her home. During this time, I learned about her neurology and the accommodations she needed. Autistic children can have autonomic panic responses when their autonomy is infringed upon, they're overwhelmed, or they're uncomfortable, just to name a few reasons. These responses might look like fight or flight, freezing, or in my daughter's case, the sillies. She'll laugh, acting impulsively in ways that might be mistaken as deliberate behavior. In these instances, she needs co-regulation from safe adults, but instead she was publicly shamed, threatened, punished, told she was making bad choices even during panic attacks. I pleaded for a perspective shift, but the toll on her mental health was severe just into first grade. In addition to the school overlooking her needs, there were incidences where the district skipped steps required by IDEA. She was improperly restrained, excluded, her IEP and BIP were not followed, there was no transparency and minimal communication, and I was lied to. My daughter needed but was denied one-on-one support. She's an eloper, and to make clear how serious it is, I recounted instances of stopping her as she was running into lakes and rivers, and of chasing her when she ran out of buildings. I was told we needed more data before one-on-one support would be granted. More data came, including 36 elopement attempts in one 11-day period. Kindergarten year, she ran out the front door before a teacher caught her, and one-on-one was still denied. Doctors supported my request, but I was told her doctors are not part of her IEP team. Her first grade year, staff didn't take these dangers seriously, even asking me, have you ever tried just letting her run? When she eloped from the school building, she was missing for almost 5 minutes. Nobody called me, even though she was wearing a tracker I could have used to help find her. At pickup, I was told she eloped as if she was being pursued, and found out later this was not true. And it took weeks in requesting security footage to get an answer as to how long she was missing, and I pleaded for one-on-one support again and told it wouldn't have helped because she pulled away from her teacher's hand. I found out this was not true. When I asked how she became kept safe in the future, I was told teachers are not expected to run after her. The district must take the safety and mental health of our disabled children seriously. They must stop blaming, dismissing, and gaslighting their parents and gatekeeping and making them beg for adequate supports. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. Our next speaker is Joseph Farmer.
I'm Joe Farmer, and I'm here tonight to bring you additional tax revenue. The Historic Review Board at the City of Greenville is in charge of approving special property tax assessment freezes for historic buildings. Unfortunately, there's a loophole in this, and the developers are exploiting it. Within the last 12 months, this board has approved $115 million of property tax freezes. These assessments are what this board uses to levy millage against. This board is comprised of 5 residents of the City of Greenville that are appointed. If you don't live in the city, you can't be on it. It meets at 3 o'clock on a Thursday. No one ever attends. All right, I am usually the only person there, and I see these developers are cheating the system. Of the 5 projects that happened last year, $20 million was for a pickleball court at Unity Park, $32 million for a convenience store on Main Street, $26 million for a retail shop on Main Street, $20 million for a Wade Hampton Boulevard former office supply store that was converted into offices, and $17 million to expand a home on Park Avenue so it could be office space. None of this is historic. I've put together a plan for City Council and asked them to approve it to change where instead of the Historic Review Board having the approvals, it would be City Council. At least it would be our elected officials would be approving our tax revenue, not this board that nobody knows where it is. I'm here tonight to tell you it is affecting your revenues. I am asking you to contact the mayor and to contact City Council and tell them that you want them to be in charge, where the citizens can hold them accountable, and we can stop the developers from abusing the system. There's a way to protect historic structures without having all this nonsense going on. I would also like you to publish this on your profile so we know this election season who's supporting us in the taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Our next speaker is Nancy Griffith.
Ready. I am a grandparent and a PTA volunteer. I thought I'd spent my last moments coming before the school board after my children graduated, but I am back again. I want to thank WYFF4 for covering school board issues and alerting the community to our state superintendent of education's partnership with PragerU. She stated that the resources of PragerU are approved as supplemental resources for our schools. I have reviewed this website and these materials. The website is massive and has not been vetted by our teachers and other school officials. It is propaganda-driven and it is dangerous. One video in particular claims that climate change is not real. This espoused by a professor formerly with the Georgia Institute of Technology. I urge this school board to take a firm stand against PragerU being used in our schools as supplemental materials. Also realize that this opens the door for other supplemental materials that are not vetted. There should be a protocol in place. I urge you to read a short story, 11 pages, called The Children's Story by James Clavell, C-L-A-V-E-L-L, in which an entire class of students within about 10 minutes is turned against their country, their parents, and their religion by one well-versed person who has propaganda in that school. It is a chilling tale. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Griffith. Our next speaker is LaTanya Kennedy.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight and for everything you do for Greenville County schools and teachers. My name is LaTanya Kennedy, and I am presently a teacher with group homes. I have been in Greenville County schools for the past 10 years. I know that my time is short, but I did send to each of you an email several weeks ago that addressed some concerns. One of which was I was an instructional coach at Lakeview Middle School last year and ended up being caught up in the Elevate model that is now taking place. So my hope in having this discussion tonight is that if there should be schools in the future who have to go through such a similar situation, that you guys would do as we do in our professional learning communities and evaluate the effectiveness of the process and how it was rolled out. Being a part of that, it definitely had a cultural impact on the school overall, and therefore still continues to impact teachers that stand before students today to work with them and have an opportunity to impart education in them. The second part to my concerns that were sent, and I submitted the FOIA request to each of you related to concerns of hiring practices and information for minorities in Greenville County schools. Trying to find an instructional coaching position after being released from Lakeview, I found to not be easy for me. This is not the first time that I have felt such concerns with Greenville County. So my hope is that through this conversation and my communication to you, that we are actually taking a real look at intentionality and not politics in the hiring practices so that we can have diverse perspectives at the table and that everyone has an opportunity to speak and talk and make sure that we are doing what is best for our students. Again, I thank you for your time. The email that was sent to you has a thorough explanation because I know I would not be able to get everything out, but I wanted to put a face to the reality of the email that was sent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Our next speaker is Shelley Haygood.
My name is Shelley Haygood. I'm a special education teacher at Washington Center with 19 years of teaching experience. Over the past 7 years, I've been proud to serve within the Greenville County Schools. My experience in this district includes teaching in various specialized settings such as resource classrooms, self-contained classrooms for emotional behavior disorders, multi-categorical self-contained classrooms, and now moderate to severe self-contained classrooms. In addition to my tenure in Greenville, I have also taught in 2 other districts, one in South Carolina and one in Ohio. These experiences have afforded me a broader perspective, and I can confidently assert that the guidance and support within Greenville County Schools is unparalleled. During my tenure at a different district in South Carolina, I worked in a school that shared a similar mission to Washington Center. However, the experiences I encountered there were notably different. The school was designed to support students with moderate to profound disabilities. Nonetheless, this was not consistently reflected in practice. Due to a lack of implementation of essential services by district leaders, students who could have thrived in a less restrictive environment were often referred to this self-contained school. In contrast, my experience at Washington Center has been significantly more positive. The leadership in Greenville County Schools is committed to providing the necessary services for students, enabling them to remain in their least restrictive environments rather than being placed in special self-contained schools. This approach allows me to serve my students at Washington Center more effectively. During my time as a special education teacher in Greenville County Schools, I have experienced exceptional support from my schools and special education department, which has consistently ensured that I and my students receive the necessary resources, training, and guidance for success. I am grateful to be part of a district that prioritizes the needs of its students.
Thank you, Ms. Haygood. Our next speaker is Jennifer Murray McLean.
Good evening. I'm a mother of a brilliant, sweet, loving 7-year-old boy who is a second grader in a Greenville County school. And he has been in special education because he has autism and ADHD, and he has been in special education since he was 3. But last year we became acutely aware of systemic issues in the school district that need to be addressed to ensure the safety of our children. These issues don't always make the nightly news, but families like ours have to wrestle with them for months and sometimes years because our concerns often fall on deaf ears. Last year, my son was placed in a general education classroom without supports, and when he started to display severe problem behaviors, including elopement from the building, we did everything we could to try to help him. Repeatedly, we asked for a one-on-one aid, we asked for my child's BCBA to come into his class to provide support, and we asked for an IEP meeting. Administration refused an aid because they said there wasn't enough funding, ignored our request for our BCBA's help, and denied us an IEP meeting. And yet, the teacher continued to kick him out of class, and administration suspended him at least 17 times last year. In fact, on 3 occasions that I know of, an administrator locked my child in an office for 3 hours at a time on multiple occasions without my knowledge or consent. I will send a letter to each of you detailing the specifics. Sadly, we are not alone. Many families experience unnecessary trauma from the special education process. The topic of how to protect and better serve students with autism and other special needs must be the board's top priority. I recommend the development of a task force to address the maladies that prevent our children from accessing their academic environments safely, such as overstuffed classrooms, limited classroom options, fear of ABA employers,
Thank you.
Work with GC.
Thank you, Ms. Murray McLean. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Jay Gerhart.
Good evening. My name is Jay Gerhart, and I am the father of a 27-year-old autistic son who's gone through the Greenville County Special Ed program from start to finish. He's from Child Find when he was 3, all the way through the program at Bon Secours, Project Search. So he's done it all, and I want to thank you all for all of that. Out of the 46 teachers he went through and listed for me, and administrators who he's had through the years, 45 of them I would pick as my first choice to have it do it again. Only one of them I wouldn't, and I would not discard them. They just wouldn't be my first pick. That's an amazing percentage. I just want to come and let you all know there are a lot of good things that have happened out there, and I really, really, really appreciate all the support, especially like the Project Search. That's an expensive program you all have taken on, and I really appreciate all the opportunities he's had. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Brendan Gary.
Good evening. Recent events, including the tragic case of Leo Cervantes, have underscored critical deficiencies within Greenville County's special education program. While this case involved a one-on-one student-to-teacher ratio, which is virtually unprecedented, most classrooms have much higher ratios. This raises significant concerns for parents regarding the level of supervision their children receive. Many parents have reached out to the district about implementing applied behavioral analysis, ABA, within our schools. It is a proven approach that significantly improves outcomes for students with autism. We have requested that ABA services be offered in schools by outside service providers. Unfortunately, these requests have been met with blanketed denials, which do not consider the unique needs of each child. It is important to note that the South Carolina Department of Education has issued guidance instructing districts to assess the provision of ABA therapy on a case-by-case basis. The department has made it clear that schools must accommodate any student seeking medically necessary behavioral treatment under the Americans with Disabilities Act, yet our district continues to deny these essential services. It is crucial to understand that these services can be billed through insurance providers, resulting in no direct financial burden to the district. Outside service providers would send qualified and vetted staff into the schools, ensuring dedicated one-on-one support for students throughout the day. This approach not only safeguards our students from further elopement, but also alleviates the overwhelming workload on our teachers and aides who are already stretched thin. The refusal to provide additional individualized support has left many parents feeling unheard and frustrated. As established in Fry versus Napoleon Community School District, denying a student access to their ABA therapist is akin to denying a service dog entry to a school. Our collective frustration has reached a critical point. We strongly urge immediate action to improve the situation for students with special needs. It is our hope that we can turn this tragedy into a catalyst for progress and change. We're tired of the dismissive copy and paste email responses. We're tired of the misleading communications being released to the media that you're meeting with parents about ABA services. What we really want to know is why you continue to deny outside ABA service providers entry into the schools. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sarah Beth Wood. Oh, excuse me, Alicia Taylor, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me the floor. Hi, my name is Alicia Taylor, and I am the mother of a 6-year-old autistic student in Greenville County Schools. I'm gutted. I'm scared. I'm terrified. I was just here last month on August 27th to talk about the negative outcomes we've experienced on behalf of my child within Greenville County Schools. On a personal note, I have requested American with Disabilities Act accommodations for my son's medically prescribed therapy, ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis Therapy. We are on day 40 and counting of fulfilling or having this considered. At our most recent meeting yesterday, we had a staff say, there is no written policy, but there is a written policy for a service animal. To me, this is unacceptable. We need to enable and clear the barriers for us to make requests for our children to get access to their medically prescribed therapy in school to have positive outcomes. My son is 6. He's been suspended 3 times this school year, and he's also had a lot of negative events. He comes home and says he's a bad child. He hates math, hates school, and other items. But I do want to come together with we need an olive branch. I am requesting that we have a task force committee. We have to solve this as a community with a diverse group of experts to come together and say, what can we do? We're terrified. What can we do right now? What can we do short term and medium term to solve this issue together? And we want to be a part of the solution. As parents, we want to know and have that kind of dialogue to know what is going on, who are we involving, and that our kids, even the 3K, 4K, 5K, that they're safe at school from elopement.
Our next speaker is Sarah Beth Wood.
My name is Sarah Beth Wood. I'm a former first grade teacher in Greenville County and a mom to 4 kids currently in the Greenville County school system. 84 credit hours of undergrad classes. an additional 48 credit hours to get your Master's of Library Science. Seems like fairly adequate training for teachers to be able to create and cultivate the book lists in their classroom, and more than enough training to set out books for a book fair that complies with ruling 43-170. Not according to you. The teachers and librarians can't be trusted to do that, so all book fairs have been banned. Paused, I'm sorry. And as far as I know, it is the only school board in the state to have done so. So why are we acting in fear now? It's certainly not to protect the teachers. You haven't even asked them if it's what they want. Greenville County Schools' motto used to be, "Where enlightening strikes." I can certainly see why you chose to remove that one. Banning books has never been enlightened. Now the motto reads, inspire, support, prepare. I leave you with these 3 questions. Whom are you inspiring? Teachers to be creative in their teaching methods? Not with your current requirement of all page numbers, not book, page numbers to be cited that have the potential to have harsh language. Maybe you're inspiring students, not if you take away the books. Whom are you supporting? Teachers? I don't think so. You never even asked them if book fairs were worth the risk to their jobs. You stopped them in fear. Maybe parents? Nope. If you did, you would empower us to decide what books we want our children to buy at the book fair. You already want us to monitor social media so we can know if they intend to harm other students, so why can't we monitor the books they read, which won't harm anyone? What are we preparing them for? How can we prepare our children to be the leaders of tomorrow if you limit the stories they hear now? We need to prepare our students for the world. It's shameful of you for limiting their view now.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Our next speaker is Laura Trefinger.
First, let me say that I understand that the district did not draft this regulation. However, as someone who has worked in education for over 14 years as both a teacher and a librarian, I believe that how the district is dealing with it is misguided and coming from a place of fear. We need to resist giving in to fear and just pulling books simply because we fear repercussions. As a librarian in the district, I get an email every time we are told to remove a book from the shelf. At no time do we get any explanation as to specifically why we are being forced to remove it, simply that academics reviewed the book and has determined it needs to be removed from all schools. When the librarians in the district had our meeting concerning the regulation with district office personnel before the school year started, we were told that exceptions should and would be made for books containing science or art. Yet the book What to Expect When You're Expecting was one of the books we were told to remove. Of course, we do not want our high school girls to get pregnant while in school, but if that should happen, they should have access to information that could help them have a safe, healthy pregnancy. In addition to books being pulled from the shelves, many of the English teachers are choosing to not use full-length text in their classes because of the extensive form the district is requiring them to submit in order to have their students read a full-length text for class. Not only does the reform require 3 teachers to read and vet each text, it asks for information such as standard specific instructional goals, which teachers are already doing as part of their lesson planning. The big sticking point for most teachers, though, was that the form asks for those 3 teachers to note the page number, chapter, or section, along with a description of each appearance of expressive language. Then the teachers must explain why that expressive language should not disqualify the text from being used. This is what made vetting full-length text practically impossible for teachers, because even if they have used the text for years, they do not know every page number for each use of expressive language. With everything else that our teachers have on their plates, they do not have time for this, nor should they have to, especially with texts like To Kill a Mockingbird and Macbeth that have long been recognized for their literary merit. Every school employee that has anything to do with selecting texts available to students has at minimum a bachelor's degree, and many have degrees beyond that and would never add inappropriate books. It is insulting that the state, and by extension the district, does not trust us as intelligent, educated professionals.
Our next speaker is Thomas Trefinger.
I feel the Greenville County School Board acted hastily when its members decided to pause book fairs while it evaluates how to respond to State Board of Education Code 43-170, which states public school district boards are constitutionally permitted and statutorily required to implement such regulations as they exercise their judgment and discretion when deciding what textbooks, library books, and other materials are and are not age and developmentally appropriate, academically robust, and educationally suitable and most useful, enlightening, and interesting to their students. Given these parameters, the school board and teachers and school administrators have the right and even obligation to use their judgment and discretion as to what materials schools are allowed to use, including those available at a school book fair. Additionally, the rule further states a complete list of the instructional materials that are used in or available to a student in any class, course, or program that is offered, supported, or sponsored by a public school or that otherwise made available by any school employee to a student on school premises shall be provided upon reasonable request by any parent or legal guardian of a student in this district. This clearly means that schools are only required to provide a complete list of instructional materials from a book fair when requested to do so by a parent or legal guardian. Thus, materials from book fairs are permitted and have no problem will arise unless the school cannot provide the list of instructional materials. Providing such a list from publishers and vendors of school book fairs can easily be done, so there's no reason why this book fair should have been canceled. In conclusion, it is clear that the school board overreacted in its knee-jerk decision to pause book fairs out of fear of some sort of reproach or reprisal by the State Board of Education. Canceling book fairs for this academic year hurts students and schools themselves. The school board should take a stand by fully and actively committing to its own policies on academic freedom and even the state's requirements of what school boards are statutorily required to do, as the materials in book fairs dovetail with the rule because the materials offered at book fairs are academically robust, educationally suitable, useful, enlightening, and interesting.
Thank you, Mr. Treffinger. Our next speaker is Abigail Cox.
Hi, my name is Abby Cox, and I'm a member of the Future Teacher Academy Leadership Board. I'm a senior at Wadehampton High School, and I plan to attend Anderson University next year, where I will be majoring in elementary education. During my time on the leadership board, I have learned about the importance of being in a group that has the same desire of teaching the next generation and making an impact in Greenville or wherever we may teach. Recently, I had the opportunity of helping at the I Teach conference, hosting other FTA students from various high schools in Greenville County. I had the honor of leading a session called Teacher Table Talks with 2 other members of the leadership board. I have also had the opportunity to select the FTA Teacher of the Month from Wadehampton and honor the teachers who have and are making a difference in my school. I would like to take the opportunity to promote the teaching profession in a positive light and by telling you about Mrs. Shim at Lake Forest Elementary School. I have been working in her classroom for FTA. Watching her teach her kindergarten classes has truly helped me learn so many valuable things about teaching. Also, being in her classroom and helping her students and her has helped me be even more excited about being a teacher. I have seen her make a difference in these students' lives, and I know that I wanted to do the same. Being in her classroom has allowed me to see how much teachers are desperately needed and how much they truly change each and every student's lives. I have always wanted to be a teacher, and being in the Future Teacher Academy Leadership Board and being an FTA program has created even more of a drive and excitement in me about becoming a teacher. Thank you for this opportunity. I am very excited about becoming a future educator and leader, hopefully here in Greenville County. Thank you.
Thank you, Abigail. Our next speaker is Carmichael Rice.
Hi, I'm not Carmika. She and I decided that we were going to switch places. Thank you. So first of all, I want to say thank you for your time this evening and for all the work you do and for offering us the opportunity to speak. The particular topic on which I'm here to speak is Prager University. As many of you know, Superintendent Weaver and Prager University publicized an agreement to which they have come. And so thank you. Prager University's website has the following statement on it. This is what they posted themselves. PragerU is not an accredited university, nor do we claim to be. We don't offer degrees, but we do provide educational, entertaining, pro-American videos for every age. That concerns me. As a parent, it doesn't seem like the type of content that I want coming to my kids. There are many of us who are looking out for opt-out forms because we don't want our children exposed to this without our consent. And also regarding the book ban language and the book fair pause banning, it's not a pause if you don't have a plan to reinstate it and a time in which it is being reinstated. So just because you're calling it a pause, it isn't. It's a ban. Please publicize and make transparent your plan of what to do with it, why it was banned. And you yourself showed that you're not without power when you said that you were going to send a request to the Board of Education to create an exemption for this book fair. So do not write off on anything that you can and can't do, because you've shown us that you do have the power to speak back and ask for things to change when it's important to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker and our final speaker is Victoria Marino Jackson. Okay, all right, okay. Carmika Rice, I'm sorry, Carmika.
I am a parent and member of the PTA. I have had a positive experience with my son's support at Riley Child Development Center. Thank you to Ashley Warner, assistant principal, and special education teacher Linda Michaels. We're in our second year at the center, and the leadership and proactivity we've seen from the school makes us confident that we can come together as a community to support disabled children. We have seen dip ramps at our school. We have seen outlined crosswalks. We have seen additional handicap parking spaces. Even when we're in the car rider line, he pops a wheelie sometimes just because he has that dip ramp and crosswalk. Without a doubt, there are many that have had positive experiences like myself. You may ask yourself, what has made it a positive experience? Being heard in our IEP experience, and our concerns and accommodations granted, attentive teachers and paraprofessionals. We can't forget about them. A small class size. Moderate class is good, 1-to-1, but it's even better when you got one teacher and even more paraprofessionals. I look forward to your continued support of these services and staff, so my son and others like him can thrive.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. Our fourth matter of business is 4.01, the superintendent's report. Dr. Royster, do you have a report for us this evening?
Thank you, Dr. Stiles. I do not have a formal report to the board tonight.
Thank you. Our next action item is 5.01, committee liaison reports. Would anyone like to report out on the work of their committee?
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Sailors.
As follow-up to conversations that we've had previously related to the book fair request for a carve-out with the State Department of Education, the resolution that was addressed by the committee will be appearing on the October Committee of the Whole meeting agenda unless between now and then we receive final information from the State Department that relieves the issue at their request. As everyone on the board may recall, last week we shared with you a request that came directly from the State Superintendent's office asking for us to take action if necessary at a later date, giving them the ability to correct the problem. I can tell you that although Greenville County is the only district in this state that has taken the action to pause book fairs, we're not the only district in the state that has shared these concerns with the State Department. So following the news reporting the day that we did discuss that work, the State Department reached out to us asking for us to give them time to correct it. So instead of it being on tonight's agenda, the committee moved it to the Committee of the Whole agenda, pending what the State Department may bring forward. So we'll keep you posted if anything does come to us. Otherwise, we will take action on that in October. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sailors. Would any other committee like to report out tonight? Mrs. Wells?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say that the Greenville Foundation Committee met. We have the golf tournament that will be held on October the 14th. This is a time when we raise money to give scholarships for future teachers as well, students, as well as scholarships. The main focus of the foundation is to give back and do as much as we can for students at the various high schools and those that are pursuing And that's exactly what I'm saying. And so, thought it wasn't supposed to be here till Thursday, but anyway, with that being said, he will vouch for me that yes, we are doing things for the right reason and we're moving forward and we're trying to raise as much money as we possibly can for our students in Greenville County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leventis Wells. Anybody else? Last call for committee reports. Okay. If there are no more committee reports, we're going to move right along to agenda item 6.01, the monthly financial reports. These have been posted for your review, so I'm sure you've had time to review those. Did anybody have a question in regard to those tonight?
Actually, it wouldn't be one this month. They'll get the first financial report next month.
Does anybody have a question? All right, we're going to move right along. That concludes our formal agenda items.
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Sailors.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, Mr. Sailors has made the motion. Ms. Goodwin Caldwell has made the second. All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries. We are adjourned.